Of JML Financial Group or their guests that do not reflect the views of WPHT or Odyssey. Today's program is pre-recorded.
The good and bad with home improvement projects. The good, you save a buck or two. The bad.
Kevin, there's no hot water.
So you move on to the car.
Kevin, what's with the car?
Good news, you can recover from these.
Kevin!
Well, most all of them. But when it comes to your retirement, a mistake can be devastating. Call Joe Yakovich at JML Financial Group. He's been helping folks prepare for retirement for over 30 years. That's why he's able to correct your do-it-yourself problems before they're problems. Get your complimentary assessment of where you are now and look at some of the retirement boxes you haven't even thought of.
Kevin!
You can't YouTube your retirement. Call Joe Yakovich at 856-925-6674 or visit jmlfinancialgroup.com. Securities and investment advisory services offered through Brokers International Financial Services, LLC, member SIPC. Brokers International Financial Services, LLC is not an affiliated company.
Do you let other people order for you at a restaurant?
He'll have the saumon lyonnaise.
No, I won't.
Or pick the movie you're gonna see?
She'd like a ticket to Attack on Rage Mountain.
Really?
Yeah, come on. So why would you let others make all the important decisions about how your life is going to be when you get older? I mean, is it okay with you if your kids decide where you're going to live?
My kids? Are you out?
Are you kidding?
Or perfect strangers choose who'll be taking care of you?
Not gonna happen.
No,
Better visit longtermcare.gov, the trusted information site that helps you find your own path forward without selling you anything. It takes you step by step through everything you need to consider about aging and all your options. Longtermcare.gov. Stay in charge by planning now or pay later.
How about a mohawk?
How about a mohawk? How about I put my foot right... Oh, hi, honey.
Debt. We can all get in a bit too deep. Members of the NFCC, the National Foundation for Credit Counseling, can help you put debt in its place.
Credit cards took charge of my financial life. An NFCC credit counselor helped me get back in control. I took charge of my debt.
Student loan debt followed me wherever I went. My NFCC financial advocate taught me all I needed to know. I mastered my student loan debt.
We wanted to buy our first home, but weren't sure if we were mortgage ready. Our NFCC housing counselor helped us make a plan. We're on a path to our first home.
NFCC member agencies serve all 50 states and Puerto Rico. Convenient, helpful, knowledgeable, nonprofit. Financial advocates there for you.
We put debt in its place.
Be one of 5 million people to beat debt by 2020. Connect with an NFCC certified credit counselor at your local member agency today. Go to nfcc.org/stopdebt or call 877-410-6322.
Every year, millions of Americans use opioids to manage pain. Pain can be unrelenting, overwhelming, and all-consuming. So why do so many of us try to manage pain only from the palm of our hands? Doctor-prescribed opioids are appropriate in some cases, but they just mask the pain. And reliance on opioids has led to the worst drug crisis in American history. That's why the CDC recommends safer alternatives, like physical therapy, to manage pain. Physical therapists treat pain through movement, hands-on care, and patient education. No warning labels required. And by increasing physical activity, you can also reduce your risk of other chronic diseases. Pain is personal, but treating pain takes teamwork. When it comes to your health, you have a choice. Choose more movement and better health. Choose physical therapy. Visit moveforwardpt.com to find a physical therapist in your area. This message is brought to you by the American Physical Therapy Association.
WPHT, WPHT-HD, WOGL-HD.
Recovery from mental and substance use disorders is real. It happens every day.
You can recover.
Discover hope and help.
Never give up on yourself.
Join the Voices for Recovery. For confidential information for mental and substance use disorders, call 1-800-662-HELP. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Well, here we are again, and this is looking like a pretty lopsided matchup, Jim.
That's right, Ron. I mean, in one corner, we've got a 175-pound guy, and in the other, a 6,000-ton heavyweight train.
Jim, this guy has no idea what he's getting himself into.
Ron, the size difference alone is staggering.
Oh, unbelievable, Jim. And this guy is acting like he doesn't have a care in the world.
What is this guy thinking, Ron?
Well, this is one of those rare moments where I actually find myself at a loss for words.
I can hardly bear to watch.
It's no contest. Every day, people tempt fate and die trespassing on railroad tracks. Railroad tracks are more dangerous than you think. See tracks, think train. For more safety tips and information, visit seatracksthinktrain.org.
Serving in Vietnam, a grenade took my ability to see. I'm Michael Naranjo, and I'm a veteran. Today, I'm a sculptor. My fingers are my eyes.
DAV helps veterans like Michael get the benefits they've earned. They help more than 1 million veterans every year.
With DAV, more veterans can shape their lives into a thing of beauty. My victory is bringing beauty into the world.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Piazza Premium Automobile Studios, powering your drive with 10 brands and 20 locations. Always live on the free Odyssey app. It's Barry, Sable, and Friends on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
I paid my dues.
I like that music, sir. Special guest with me. You have tuned into the Barry Sable Show with Friends. Thankful you have found time to join us. Yes, we are streaming live on YouTube. Call-in numbers are 855, a simple 839-1210 will do. Sitting in studio with me. Wait a second, you're not Pac-Man?
Wait a minute, I could be.
Yes, you could be. Did you hear that, Pac-Man? You better stay in North Carolina.
No, you better get back fast.
You better get back. You might lose your job. My special guest is Ushi Kessler, who has built a legacy of excellence, resilience, and dedication in both sports and healthcare. Miss Kessler is a former figure skater, Olympic athlete, and 6-time Olympic coach who has shaped the careers of figure skating greats, including Ushi. I'm never going to get these last names right. Why don't I give the first name and you could give the last?
That's fine.
Let's start with Brian.
Orser.
Elaine.
Zayak.
Elvis.
Stoiko.
Claudia.
Leistner.
Tanya.
Shevchenko.
And my favorite, how would you say it? Soya?
Surya Bonilla.
Surya Bonilla. There you go. I knew I wouldn't get it right. Her story, meaning Ushi, however, extends well beyond the skating world. Ushi's journal includes personal health battles, having overcome tuberculosis in her youth and later fending off cancer, leading her to becoming a devoted advocate for cancer research. In the year of 2007, my guest founded Pennies in Action, an organization dedicated to raising funds for cutting-edge cancer treatment research. Ushi, good morning. I know you are repelling off the flu, but I thank you for coming into studio with me this morning. How are you, my friend?
Good morning, Uncle Barry. I'm fine, and it reminds me of Olympics in '64 because I was sick the last couple of days, and last night I was coughing my little heart out, and that's what happened the night before I had to skate. I slept in the bathtub not to wake up the other kids, but that's what happens in Olympic sports because when all these young athletes come together in the Olympic Village, they catch something because they are bringing in germs from other countries, and we are not accustomed to them. So usually there is, in every Olympics, there are a lot of sick athletes, and they fight it through.
Yep, they don't have a choice at that time. They trained like nobody else has ever trained. And to go down last minute, oh my God.
Well, the only thing is if you have a fever, the medical staff doesn't allow you because that would attack the heart. But if you don't have a fever, you know you're going to push.
That's a great point. Listen, this week, we've talked a few times, and you made a few interesting statements to me that I want to refer to. And I want to start with, you said to me, a champion quits only after they won.
Exactly.
Tell me.
I mean, you know, the average person quits when they are tired. Well, that doesn't go for a champion because then you are not a champion. because a champion gets up even so they can't. And, this is just kind of something that's inside of these people. That's when somebody then has become an Olympian. It's really a sign of excellence and perseverance and strength.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Also, you said to me, there's a big difference between making a team and going to stand on the podium. I guess you were talking about the podium is gold, silver,
And
bronze. Tell me what you meant by that.
Well, when you first go to make the team, it is amazing, but you really have no pressure after that because there is no standard you have to live up to. And then when you climb up the ladder, you have to prove yourself. And then when they decide that you could be on the podium, the rules kind of change because then it becomes very political. But it's always the way that you could be on the podium. It wouldn't be embarrassment to the sport because they chose you.
What a disappointment, I would imagine. You've spent years training, and obviously, if you're not on the podium, what does one think? Especially, I have to call you guys at those years. I don't want to say adolescence, but someone that's 15, 16, 17, in my mind, is like a little girl in a big girl's body. What a disappointment for males or females if they just don't get there. How do they feel, my God?
Well, at first it's disappointment, but if you have that fighting spirit in you, it charges you up.
Yeah.
Which means you only learn from failure.
Of course.
So, which means the ones that kind of, like I said before, a champion gets up even so they can't. We're always going to go down, especially in figure skating. You always fall because as soon as you are good at one thing, you're going to push the next thing, you're going to fall again. And the idea is how quickly do you get up and do you carry it through the rest of the program or can you just leave it there? And that is a real trick to do.
You talk about falling. Can you imagine doing a routine? You've now practiced for 2 years or 3 years to get in the Olympics, and you have one big chance and you fall. I mean, what kind of courage do you have to have during your routine to get back up? You know that you're in trouble. You know that you're not, I don't want to use the word qualified, but you're going to not get the points that you want. Okay, tell us about that.
Well, the problem with that is when you are into the routine and you know you're already out of the game, and then to keep to the end, because in figure skating it's 4 minutes. That's a long time.
Yep.
In gymnastics, the floor exercise is only a minute and a half.
Yep.
But to carry that with you, and the true champions leave it behind. They move forward that you don't know they made a mistake.
Well, we're going to get into that a little later in the show. But what I want to do is I want to concentrate on some of the things about you. You were a national champion in Germany in 1968 and 64, and you participated in Olympics. Why don't you give us a little insight as to what that meant for you? What were your feelings? What was it like the night before? Did you sleep when you knew that you were on the stage? How did you feel?
Well, like in those days, it was 3 parts. There were school figures, where you do the figure eights.
We're all sick here. That's okay. Cough it out, lady. Don't worry about it. Go ahead.
But the thing was that when you finally make it onto the podium, and I remember it was in Cologne when I won the national title, and there were windows on top of the arena, and you could see the bridge, a bridge out there, and cars would cross.
Wow.
And I'm standing there, and I'm thinking, oh, my God, is that all there is? Because they didn't stop. You think the world should stop. I reached my goal. Now, how come these people are still going on?
Right.
That's kind of a big, realization that the world doesn't stop because you won.
Did you become friendly with your competitors?
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, I was always friendly with my competitors. When I was in school, it wasn't so because, I come from a small town, and then naturally the way, with bullying is they just leave you out of everything.
Of course.
But that didn't, and I learned very early that the more nasty people are, the better I am, because otherwise they wouldn't waste their time on it. So it actually became a badge of honor if people were nasty to me.
Let's talk about attitudes. To be born to be a champion, it's almost like you're bred like that. I know when you look at Tiger Woods, man, his father was all over him, and I'm sure so many other athletes would say the same thing. Did you have parental guidance at that time? Did you have coaches? What exactly prepared you for such a strenuous, arduous chore?
Well, I come from a different background. My brother was the skater, and he's 5 years older, and I was the little girl dragging along. And I would always be in the background, say, "Look at me, look at me, look at me," right? And so I didn't have that pressure because it was actually put on my brother.
Wow.
In a way that was good. So I had to, kind of like the younger child, had to prove myself.
And you did.
Yeah.
Yes, you did. Listen, Kurt, if you could pull up some of the pictures, I would like, especially on YouTube, to show people this lady, Playboy look. I'm telling you, Playboy look. So if you get a chance. So what I want to do is I want to take you through what was it actually like on a daily basis of being in the camp, as the Olympics were proceeding. In other words, what was your routine? Did you get up? Did you train? Were you in the gym? Were you practicing during the day until the big day or big days came about? Tell us a little bit about your routine. And what was it like for meals? You're in strange countries. Did you eat different things? Did you enjoy different things? What was that all about?
Well, I think in those days it wasn't really that they concentrated so much on what you ate. I mean, they wanted to have like spaghetti or something before you competed because it kind of held on longer.
Were you nervous at any time?
Oh, yes, you are. But the big thing that I learned, and you have to learn, that nervousness is energy. And like they say, you have butterflies, but teach those butterflies to fly in formation. If you don't get nervous, then it's going to be a dead performance because you need that vibration that is in a performance. And the other thing is too, like in practice, because I did a lot with scientists when I started coaching, and that your pulse rate goes up as soon as you do the first jump that you're nervous about. Your pulse rate goes almost to 100%.
Wow.
And they know that in an 85 to 90% pulse rate, you can last the most 60 seconds and be at elite performance. So it's very important that you are in shape, because then with just a couple of longer edges, your pulse comes down a bit.
Wow.
And the thing is that you can't really practice for that. And
that's an interesting point.
And so what we used to do, we used to bring out judges just to kind of create the same atmosphere as would be in competition. My problem was that I never flunked a test, which is a problem, because like in skating too, because so when I started coaching, I put kids in early, and then they wanted to complain about it, that you bring these kids in and they don't have a chance to pass. I said, you don't understand. That's not what it's all about.
Of course.
What it's all about, because as a coach, my job is to raise your awareness. And that awareness, when they skated, I would say, did you measure up to your awareness? And if they did, then they won. If you didn't measure up, then you lost. So if the marks came up, I don't want you to change your idea about this.
Wow.
Don't allow anybody else to give you the value, and that is so important.
Did your competition get in your head when you saw other people on the ice? Did you look at them and ever say to yourself, they're better than me, or I know I could be better than them? How did you feel?
The thing is, when you go to competition in the bus, I remember sitting in the bus, going to the competition, the day when I had to compete. And I used to think, how do they get out? I can't believe they can do a waltz jump. You just feel so heavy that you don't think you could do it. And anything the others do is just phenomenal.
Were they doing different routines than you? Were they doing things that were more difficult than you? Were you doing things that were more difficult for them?
No, I think, it depends on what level you're skating. If you're skating in the top level, they all do the stuff. And then it becomes a lot how to perform it, and can you skate clean? You know what I mean? Because, it's not that easy to skate clean. Because when you do part of it and it was clean, and then you think, oh my God, you know what I mean? And no, there's a lot that goes through your mind. And there is a jump, a Lutz, and the entrance in it is quite a time, like there's 5-6 counts or whatever. And during those 5-6 counts, everything goes through your head.
Wow.
And to be able to keep that out of your head is the most important thing.
If I'm correct, and you could correct me, you were 15, 16 when you were actually competing. Were you competing against women that were 18, 19, 20, 21?
25, yeah.
25. With so much more experience, did that play a role in a win or a loss for you?
No, the thing was, I actually made it to the Olympics 4 years before I was supposed to. See, I was on the last East-West German combined team because the wall was already closed, and but then the International Olympic Committee did not recognize Germany as two countries, so we only could send one team. So at that point, the West German champion and the East German champion were set, and there was one spot open. And I was actually, a year before, I was 5th in nationals, and my mentors said, well, a lot can happen in a year. So they decided to have a West trial, and I won that. So there were 6 skaters from West Germany, and I won that. And then the top 3 went against the top 3 from East Germany.
I understand.
And so we had to have 2 trials like that, and I won all of them. And that's why it was kind of, I was the black horse.
Wow.
But the thing now is, it's so important that happened because everything in my life prepared me for what I'm doing now. And I needed to have these experiences because if I wouldn't have made these Olympics, because 68 was my Olympics, and the big problem to me was that the day I was diagnosed, I sat in the doctor's office and I cried my eyes out because he said, you will never do sports again.
We're going to talk about this after the break. Kirk, you are on break with Uncle Barry. You are listening to the Barry Sable Show with friends. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Communism, the old country, Ushi Kessler's youth. It's coming up. Don't leave us.
Johns Hopkins University has found that just mild hearing loss doubles your risk of dementia, so hearing loss isn't something to ignore.
But hearing aids are so expensive and ugly.
Not anymore. Meet Audion Hearing. You can get nearly invisible hearing aids without a prescription starting at $98 a pair, and they're ready to use right out of the box. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, and with over 1 million customers, Audion is easy to trust. Visit audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Will new tariffs impact small businesses? Rising costs and economic uncertainty can hurt your bottom line. But with Swish Funding, your business can stay strong. We offer fast, flexible funding solutions from $10,000 to $2 million for working capital, cash flow, and more, and as little as 24 hours with no collateral needed. If your business earns at least $50,000 per month and has been around for over a year, you could qualify today. Go to swishradio.com and use code RADIO. Swishradio.com, code RADIO.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. Spring is here. Don't let stiff or achy joints hold you back. Rescue Natural Supplements is proud to bring you Rescue Glyco Plus. This incredible supplement is specially formulated to support joint comfort and flexibility with a powerful blend of green lip muscle complex and UC2 collagens. This unique combination helps maintain healthy cartilage and provides smoother, more comfortable joint movement. Right now, Rescue Glyco Plus is buy one, get one free for anyone with our exclusive radio code. Just use the code RELIEF to double up your order for free. Again, that's RELIEF. Call today at 800-26-LIFE, 800-262-5483. Speak to a knowledgeable rescue product consultant. You can also use the code online when you visit res-q.com, res-q.com. Get back into action with less pain and more comfort. Again, use that code RELIEF to buy one, get one free on Rescue Glyco Plus.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000.
How much time do we have, sir?
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
Is that
he
my
had
Steve
to do
Pac-Man
something.
or someone
That's
else?
when I reached out to Optima
My
Tax Relief.
Pac-Man, okay.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask like 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. It definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Don't miss the Labor and Energy Show with J-Doc and Krause. Brought to you by the Labor and Energy Alliance this Saturday night at 6. Find out about the important issues that will affect you. The Labor and Energy Show, Saturday night at 6 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
For a complete list of Talk Radio 1210 WPHT's contest rules, go to 1210WPHT.com/rules.
When you haven't found love, it can feel like everyone else has. It's in every movie, every song, and all the PDA. Looking for love sucks. Thankfully, California Psychics can give you the guidance you need to find the one. We guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. And new customers receive 20 minutes for just $20. Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com and experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
Johns Hopkins University has found that just mild hearing loss doubles your risk of dementia, so hearing loss isn't something to ignore.
But hearing aids are so expensive and ugly.
Not anymore. Meet Audion Hearing. You can get nearly invisible hearing aids without a prescription starting at $98 a pair, and they're ready to use right out of the box. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, and with over 1 million customers, Audion is easy to trust. Visit audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Be sure to follow Talk Radio 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
Yes, indeedy, we are back. You are listening to the Barry Sable Show with friends. My special guest, who I adore, have a crush on her too. Husband, look out! I'm coming your way. UC Kessler. Looks like we have a call. UC Steve, you're on live on the air with Uncle Barry and UC. What's on your mind, sir? Where is he? Is he there?
Good morning, Uncle Barry. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead. Who am I talking to?
You were talking to Steve Pac-Man from North Carolina.
North Carolina, Steve Pac-Man. What the heck? Uzi and I miss you. The first thing she said to me is, where's Pac-Man? She didn't ask how my day was going, what's going on. What the heck?
Well, first and foremost, you have definitely an upgrade here on YouTube because I have a face for radio. And let me tell you, Ushi is lighting up the studio. And, you know, I knew I liked her because she married a fellow Armenian. And that is just great. We're, probably Paisan someplace.
There you go.
So that's great.
Pac-Man, you know what's so interesting about this lady, and I mean this, is that, you know, she showed me some pictures of herself today. And I can tell you that Uncle Barry doesn't look as handsome as he used to. I'm far from it. This lady still has it going on, no question. But when this lady was 18, this lady was Playboy material. I'm not kidding you. I have pictures. I wish you could be here to see. You would be astounded. I wish in those days I was around her. I would have hit on her, my friend.
Well, Barry, I hate to tell you this, but you may have been out of her league.
Yeah, that would have been outkicked the coverage.
She was out of your league, I should say. But what a great cause. And also, I did see some of those pictures. I was doing my own research, Ushi, too, on you, and phenomenal. Some of those jumps, no way in the world. I am about as flexible as a 2x4. So, but what a story! Great contact. I just wanted to call in and say, Uncle Barry, I miss you on Sunday morning.
Me too.
And
Me too.
We'll be back together next week. And Ushi, what a great cause! What a you've had a fantastic story here, and I'm so interested to listen to you guys get back into.
Yeah, we're going to talk to you about pennies in action. All I could tell you, Pac-Man, you compliment me.
Well, thank you very much. And
you heard that line before, God darn it.
Yeah, I did.
That's from the movie Jerry Maguire.
Oh yeah, there you go. Forgot about that one. So, but anyway, well, you guys have a great rest of your show. I don't want to take away the time from the listeners to hear Ushi's great story.
Thank you, sir.
And I'll be back in New Jersey very soon. And looking forward to next week.
You got it, my friend.
And I hope I can meet you when you come back.
I would love to meet you in person.
That's awesome.
See you, bro. Have a safe trip back. Lucy, let's get back to, I want to talk to you about the ice follies. I know you spent time doing that as well. And you could take me through some history if you like. I guess we could almost go back to the early days. I do want to talk to you about the wall. You mentioned that. So why don't you take me through a little bit of history of yourself? I know you had mentioned to me at an early age, food wasn't there, living in the old country. Why don't you tell us what it was all about?
When I was born, there was not enough food. And as a matter of fact, I was born right after the Third Reich. And the problem is not during the war, the problem is after the war. Because there was no food whatsoever. My mom used to go and they call it Hamsten, to beg for food. And so anyway, when I was born, they realized, because I was kind of a surprise, I guess, they realized they don't have enough food to feed my brother and me, so they decided to send me to an aunt in Austria, send my brother to an aunt in Austria.
Wow.
She lived in the mountains. So then the problem was that he came to see me because my dad couldn't come because of the different sectors.
Mhm.
He wasn't allowed to cross the bridge. So from the farm.
What did that mean? He wasn't allowed to cross the bridge. Is that East and West Berlin?
No, that's just when they cut Germany up into these 5 sectors: American, Russian, French.
And you weren't allowed to cross?
No, unless you had a passport.
Uh-huh.
And so when I was born, my mom was in another sector in the hospital. So then when my brother came there, to see me, and I was like 2 days old.
Uh-huh.
And when he came home, he was really depressed. And my father said, "Fritzy, what's wrong?"
Mhm.
Nothing. And then he says, well, so my mom had kind of saved pudding for him. He
Wow.
says, she can eat pudding all day. I'm 2 days old. And she didn't even take my flowers because he had a little bunch of flowers
How do
for
you
me.
like that?
And then he was sent away. Can you imagine?
No.
Now so my whole childhood, he would always say, "Ushi, get lost." Do you know what I mean? Like but I
Boys
told
do
him,
that to girls anyway.
no,
you
but
know
no, this was a little deeper.
Ah.
But then I totally understood. We were very close, and then we became very close afterwards. And it was a shame that I came to America, so I really didn't see my family as much as I
You like
wanted
that.
to. And so that was the tough thing there. But then when I grew up, I come from a small town, and there were like 13 or 14 bombed out buildings on the street that I lived.
Mhm.
And when I tell people, say, "Oh, you poor thing," we had a ball. The only thing because we played in those ruins.
Less was more at times. Let me ask you a question. Tell me about the feel of Germany and communism and the Third Reich. Did that affect you and your family? In which way did it?
See, after when I went to school, we weren't allowed to learn about history from 1933 till 45
How do you
because
like that?
they were afraid that Nazis would still be teaching children. So we never learned about it, only from the priest, or my parents would tell me about it.
Mm.
And so anyway, so I really wasn't affected too much by it. I mean, the problem was that people would be sent away, and we had like a family come into our place because they would just put people in it because from the bombed out buildings. It was just, but since I didn't know any different. See, the thing is, once you live a certain way and then it's changed, it's different. But I never knew better than that.
Let me ask you a question. You made a comment to me this week that stuck with me. Thoughts are free, no free speech. Today, I always say in the air, people abuse free speech in America. We abuse it. There's nothing wrong with expressing yourself, but I think we've taken it too far. Give me your thoughts on free speech, having come from, call it, the old country.
Well, the thing was, when I was growing up, my dad always said, because it was still, I guess, spilled over from Third Reich, where, if you say things you shouldn't say, you disappeared.
That's right.
And, like when they say here, Nazi, they have no clue. They didn't even step foot on German soil. And that's what I kind of, don't like, that they're doing that. But anyway, so I don't know. It's a sad time in Germany And but now, it took then when they built the wall, because like between East and West Germany, what it caused a lot of issues in families, because the East Germans, they would turn in their mother and grandmother and
You
father.
gotta be kidding.
And then, but the problem was when the wall opened. Now, how are you going to repair
Hard.
these families? You can't.
Well, let me tell you something. My grandparents came from Russia. My grandmother on my mom's side was all of 4'11". And I remember being 13, 14, asking her, tell me about Russia. And she would look at me, she would shake her head and walk away. Now, I don't know if that was still out of fear. Obviously, there was persecution over there, and they were glad to be in America. But she would never tell me about the old country. I mean, it was really heartbreaking, because how do I know what someone else went through so I could appreciate the goodness of what I have and the freedoms of what I have if you don't know? And that's what, to me, when I spoke to you this week, I wanted to ask you about that, because I'm sure you felt that, and your families to a certain degree.
Just one thing was and there's a lot of propaganda that was there. Like when I was on the Olympic team for the trials, so when we had the two trials, one in East Germany and one in West Germany, and if you'd fly over to Berlin, because you had to fly, there was that bridge, the air bridge. And so we were supposed to have practice. And so we got to the border, and they let us stand there for 3 hours. And then they said, because the place where we were supposed to practice was only a couple of 2-3 miles away. And so thank God our team leader said, because they said, you missed your practice. So my team leader said no. And so anyway, we did end up the practice. But while we stood there, we made friends with how would you call it, the security people. And there came a guy in a VW, and they took his car apart, and they just left it there. They didn't put it back together. And then what we found out is that they had a stick, and every brand of cars was there, the depth of the trunk, because they knew that's how people wanted to get out. And so the problem was, and I think it's the same thing now too, they say all these things that happened, which means now, they're making something that you can't ever do that again. Like, for instance, at first, somebody rammed through this wall with a truck. And so then they built this gigantic wall that you have to zigzag through it. So that couldn't happen. And then and I always read that in the papers, when they did that. And then they said, somebody came, they were clinging underneath, and
trying to escape. Is this what you're trying to say?
Escape,
but hold this thought. Unfortunately, we're up against the break. Beauty queen, Olympic skater, ice follies. We need to get to research. Running out of time. You are listening to the Barry Sable Show with friends. My special guest, Ushi Kessler. We will see you on the other side. Please don't go anywhere.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
A message for qualified investors from Noble Gold Investments. If your portfolio is over $250,000 and you aren't hedged, you're sitting on a ticking time bomb. With markets at all-time highs, history tells us what comes next. A 10% allocation into gold and silver can help diversify. Experienced investors know that in times of economic uncertainty, real assets, not paper promises, offer true security. Noble Gold Investments makes it easy to add institutional-grade gold and silver to your portfolio, so you can hedge like the world's smartest investors. For nearly a decade, Noble Gold has helped thousands of Americans protect their future, turning numbers on a screen into real, tangible assets. And right now, when you make a qualified investment, Noble Gold will add a free 10th-ounce gold coin to your order. Disciplined investors protect what they've built. Visit NobleGoldInvestments.com today. NobleGoldInvestments.com.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Johns Hopkins University has found that just mild hearing loss doubles your risk of dementia. So hearing loss isn't something to ignore.
But hearing aids are so expensive and ugly.
Not anymore. Meet Audion Hearing. You can get nearly invisible hearing aids without a prescription starting at $98 a pair. And they're ready to use right out of the box. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health. And with over 1 million customers, Audion is easy to trust. Visit audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Will new tariffs impact small businesses? Rising costs and economic uncertainty can hurt your bottom line. But with Swish Funding, your business can stay strong. We offer fast, flexible funding solutions from $10,000 to $2 million for working capital, cash flow, and more, and as little as 24 hours with no collateral needed. If your business earns at least $50,000 per month and has been around for over a year, you could qualify today. Go to swishradio.com and use code RADIO. Swishradio.com, code RADIO.
Keeping free speech alive. Odyssey's #1 talk station. Talk Radio 1210. WPHT. WPHT.
Harry Sable Show with friends. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. I don't know about you. I'm having a ball. Ushi, I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the people that you coached. Brian Orser. Elaine, you're going to get her last name. Elvis, like we talked about, Claudia, Tanya, and the last one, Bonnelly. I want to talk about them. I know that as I did research on these people, 1984, 1988, 1982, 81, they were all involved, and a lot of them won medals. Do you and will you be good enough and gracious enough to touch on some of those people? And then, honestly, I know you mentioned a blind skater you were involved with. I really want to talk about Bonnelly at the end, if we may. Go ahead.
Well, each one of those are amazing people. And they weren't just like when I coached people, I had to really like them as people, or I couldn't work with them. And they always stayed at my house, so I would know them away from the ice. So I would know their movement would be authentic and not just set on, because my specialty was self-expression. And
What do you mean by that, self-expression? Give me an example.
It's just the way, for instance, when I would express myself in movement, and that was in going back to when I grew up in Germany, like there was a lot of things you couldn't say. But movement, nobody, you really don't put yourself out there, but you could totally put yourself into the movement emotionally and physically and all that. So, and I can tell if it's just like they're a parrot, repeating what somebody else did in movement. And instead of letting it come out from the soul and from the inside out and really reach out to an audience, because, without that, you're never going to bring an audience in.
What did all of these people that you coached, what was the common, not just goal, but the commonality in their personalities, in their efforts, in their work ethic, was there in your mind?
Well, they were consistent in working. They were strong under pressure, and they had a specific goal. That's what I use for Pennies in Action, the Olympic approach. It's this one goal. It's zeroes into this one thing, so you know where that is. But the problem is when people start thinking about money and medals, it gets you off the goal.
Of course.
And I think that was better in the olden days in the Olympics because you had to be a true amateur. You weren't allowed to take money or anything. So the way they used to say it is the pure joy in the pursuit of excellence.
How would I say her name? Soria
Barnley.
Right. I did a little homework on her. French, 1994. She was an interesting young lady. I guess her style, if I'm correct, didn't sit right with the judges. And I loved her athleticism. And she did a backflip when I guess you weren't allowed to do backflips.
Well, see what happened. That was in '98 Olympics. And she was, I kind of helped out with her because her coach couldn't make it. And so her manager said, will you take care of her because you're there with Elvis? And I said, yeah. So she came to work with me here. And then now when she got into the final, she couldn't get on the podium. I mean, her numbers from before were that she couldn't, the way the rules were, no, she couldn't make it. And so she always said to me, she says, I know one day they're going to allow the backflips, and I'm not going to be the first one to have done it and be in the Book of World Records.
Wow.
So I said to her, and I said to her mom and to her manager, I said, she can't, right now, she's not on the podium. What difference does it make how far she goes down?
God.
But this is her chance because not only this, but she would land on one foot, backflip on one foot, and then took off of that same edge into a triple jump.
And they said it couldn't be done, and she did it, correct?
She did it, and they kind of dumped on her. But you know what? After that, everybody remembered her, just like you bring her up. Everybody remembered her that she did it. And if she wouldn't have done it, she would have just,
Delaware Valley, SURYABONALY. It's a clip, 3 minutes. I'm telling you, I watched it last night. It's worth watching. You see, in my time when I grew up, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, I have Melissa on the line. If I look at you as Butch and I look at him as at her, then I've got it. Melissa, good morning. Thank you for taking time. I know you walked out of church. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Well, it's a pleasure for me to be invited to the show, Barry. Thanks for your support.
Of course, it's my pleasure. Listen, we didn't get into pennies in action. We were going to hit that up over the last session. But while I have you, why don't we start? Why don't you give me some insight, and then I'll leave you go back to church because I don't want you to get in problems with your husband, God, or anybody else. I have your back, Melissa. Tell us what you want to tell us. This lady is so fascinating. I have to tell you, an hour with her is surely not enough. Why don't you give me some insightfulness of pennies in action, Usley Kessler, whatever you want to say. It's her hour with Uncle Barry. Go ahead, my friend.
So I'll try to give a Reader's Digest.
Cliff Notes.
I decided to skate through my chemotherapy back in 2010 to have a semblance of normalcy, and providentially or serendipitous, divinely, however you want to frame it.
Let me get a thesaurus for those two in a dictionary. Go ahead, my friend. Go ahead. You've got me.
Got to challenge all your listeners out there. Well, just to tap on however they look at things.
Of course.
So I we had, my daughter and I took lessons. So the nice lady that we took lessons from happened to go to a Pennies in Action fundraiser from a patient in Florida. So she heard about this and she wanted me to know about it. So she reached out to Ushi and said, this lady I coach, who's going through chemotherapy, I know she'd love to meet you. So she set up this meeting, and Ushi came to see me in May of 2010. And I don't know how else to describe it, but I knew when I heard this in a coffee shop that May that this was why this happened to me, that my charge, my mission in life, my assignment right now for this season, all the way back to 2010, has been to be part of removing the threat of cancer in my lifetime.
So hold on one second. Let me take you back a second, because some of our listeners might not know the background. You guys are involved in I'll call it a charity organization with the Dr. Brian Zernicki. And what he does is he does cancer research. And correct me if I'm wrong, because I sat there, but what he was talking about for that hour was kind of over my head, and I'm not embarrassed to admit it. But he has been working on research so that women don't have to get a mastectomy or go through chemotherapy. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, you are. That is the end goal. That is our Olympic gold medal, that we will get a simple shot, and the threat of cancer will be removed.
Mm-hmm.
I am cured. I am not on any medicines.
Wow.
In 2014, I was given the dendritic cell immunotherapy, and my immune system's been trained. No genetics, no GMOs. My immune system, the dendritic cells, my own cells, they were allowed to grow and mature, and introduced the protein that was, I say, out of whack as a layman, in my body. So those cells were injected back, and they taught my T cells, and they went to work. So now those cells have learned, which teachers should love this.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what keeps me from recurring.
People that are
we
listening.
want this for everyone.
Yep. People that are listening. Pennies in action. It's a very important situation. I could tell you that I've been involved with you guys just showing up peripheral, and we are now trying to get this situation, meaning Brian Zernicki and his research, on the desk of the President of the United States. He is most interested in cancer. So I want you to know, any listeners out there that could tune in and help Pennies in Action, Ushi, Melissa, and whoever else may be, we are interested. We need help. We just don't need money. It's beyond that. This organization is interested in saving lives every single day. People are dying from cancer, and they have taught me and convinced me it's not necessary. Am I correct before we take a break, Melissa?
You are absolutely correct. And this is not just for breast cancer. We started there because that's where a lot of the funding is, but this is working on all solid tumors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, imagine the lives we could save. Flood the White House with calls. Tell them, everybody, whether you're, a private citizen, whether you're part of the political, arena,
yes,
anybody can call the White House and leave a message. Join our movement. We need help. We need hands and feet and mouths because it's going to be the patients that push this across the finish line. We're a patient-driven organization.
Melissa Nichols, I don't know if you're Butch or you're Sundance, but you're part of the team. I want to thank you for taking time from church to call in. We are up against the break. You are listening to the Barry Sable Show with friends. Sitting in studio with me, beauty queen, skater, cancer fighter, coach, ideal woman, lucky man to be had. He's out there. I know he is. I couldn't get him in studio today. We are up against the break, but I will get him for dinner. You are listening to the Barry Sable Show with friends. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Chuck McDowell here. If you were misled or lied to in any way when buying a timeshare, right now is your wake-up call. With the tariffs, economy tanking, and inflation rising, you might need to ask yourself this question. Is owning a timeshare a good idea? With all the economic uncertainty, you need to protect yourself and your family. Don't look back and say, if I'd have only got rid of that stupid timeshare they lied to me about. It's time to stop thinking about canceling your timeshare and finally get rid of it and be smart with your money. At Wesley Financial Group, we've saved 48,000 families an average of $65,000 in lifetime payments. Give us a call. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we will cancel your timeshare permanently or you'll pay nothing.
Call Wesley for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-854-4040. 800-854-4040. 800-854-4040.
As a business owner, you wear a lot of hats. One minute you're ordering today's inventory, and the next you're planning tomorrow's expansion. It's complicated, but your business credit card should be simple. With the Signify Business Cash Card by Wells Fargo, you earn unlimited 2% cash rewards on purchases for your business with no caps or categories to track. Signify Business Cash, the deliberately simple business credit card. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/signify. Terms apply.
Pastor Brad Lacey here, First Baptist Church, Conshohocken. Join us Saturdays for the great message and be blessed. 5 a.m. right here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been diagnosed with mesothelioma, call us now. $30 billion was set aside for meso victims, and in most cases, your claim is settled out of court without a jury trial. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Will new tariffs impact small businesses? Rising costs and economic uncertainty can hurt your bottom line. But with Swish Funding, your business can stay strong. We offer fast, flexible funding solutions from $10,000 to $2 million for working capital, cash flow, and more, and as little as 24 hours with no collateral needed. If your business earns at least $50,000 per month and has been around for over a year, you could qualify today. Go to swishradio.com and use code RADIO. Swishradio.com, code RADIO.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Follow Talk Radio 1210 on Instagram and Facebook at 1210 WPHT.
Yes, indeed, we are back. You are listening to the Barry Sable Show with friends. My special guest, Usi Kessler. Before we start, I want to make a comment. True ignorance is not the absence of knowledge, but the refusal to acquire it. We need help. Pennies in Action. Go ahead, Miss Usler. Give it to me.
Well, Pennies in Action is an organization that's totally patient-driven and with passion. And when I had TB in 1966, I was still treated the old way. I spent 8 months in a sanatorium. And
tuberculosis, right?
Tuberculosis.
And that's when you were 15 and 16,
yeah, that's
correct?
Yeah, that's how I had to quit overnight.
Tell me 2 seconds. You quit skating because you had tuberculosis.
Well, they quit me. I mean, I didn't have, the thing is,
you didn't have a choice.
I had no choice whatsoever. And I couldn't, and then I had a relapse, and they didn't allow me to go back into competitive sports.
You must have been a mess in those days, my God.
Well, the thing that was sad about it, because when I came home from the doctor's office, in the mailbox was a letter from the National Olympic Committee that my training will be paid for till 68 Olympics. And that was just putting salt into the wound at that moment. But anyway, yeah, that's, God does it to you. Get down and see how you can get up from that. And that's when I realized that my philosophy in life is I will never be victimized by anything or anybody. And
Say that again.
I will never be victimized by anybody or anything.
Wow.
And I lived by that all my life. Mm-hmm. And it's and nothing is that bad that something good doesn't come of it. That's my mom's philosophy.
Wow.
Now, the thing was, if somebody at the time would have said that me having TB is the best thing that ever happened, I would have punched their lights out. But 10 years later, I realized I had to go through this because I learned so much. Like my dad, when I came home, said, you matured 10 years in those 8 months. And then when I had breast cancer at first, and I didn't tell anybody. And then a year later, I had uterine cancer, and I didn't tell anybody. My family didn't even know. And then when I started Pennies in Action, the one thing I had to tell people, I know patients, well, I've been there. I'm one of you. That was the biggest sacrament that I gave to the cause, that I told people that I have cancer. I had cancer. Now, the problem is when you are diagnosed with cancer, it's getting a little better, but you lose your friends because they don't know what to say. And then as soon when I told people, I had
How about
cancer.
just saying, I'm here for you, What do you need me to do? I'm here. You're my buddy. You're my friend. I'll pick you up. I'll take you. What can I do for you? How about that kind of America? Where is that today?
No,
Where is that?
But the thing that is so important, and I always tell patients or their friends, I said, if your friend wouldn't have cancer, how would you treat her? That's how we want to be treated.
Yeah.
And, like the Dumb and Dumber, when the guy goes into the girl and says, will you go out with me? And she says, only if hell freezes over. So, and she slams the door, and then he knocks at the door again. And he says, so there is some chance. And that's what you have to tell patients. And, we don't just want to survive, we want to thrive. And Dr. Sinicki's research and solution, everybody talks about the research. The big thing is that the treatment that he gives, it's not just research
and will
anymore.
Big Pharma allow? Are they the enemy in this case?
No,
because
I
if you don't get chemo anymore, and you don't have to do this and do that, and you don't have to get surgery, listen, some people aren't making a lot of money based on the fact you're eliminating that. Am I correct?
Yes, but on the other hand, I will never be anti-pharma because pharma cured me from TB. So, but it is not to cause a problem like right now, and that's why I'm so glad that RFK is in the White House, because they caused this obesity, and they didn't do anything about it. And then when they were really heavy, the people now, they said it's bad for you, but we have the cure for you, but it costs a lot of money for you to get the cure. It should never happen in the first place.
Of course.
And Dr. Sinicki is one of those people that is totally driven by passion.
I met him. He's an interesting guy, my God.
He's a genius, and how he could find out how to train your own cells to go, he trains those dendritic cells like they train drug-sniffing dogs.
Go get them, Doc. Listen, we have exactly 40 minutes for you to wrap up. This hour flew by. Give me 40 seconds of whatever has hit your heart in this last hour. Go ahead.
Well, Uncle Barry, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun, and I hope you'll have me back because I have lots more to talk about.
Of course.
But the one thing it is that we have, the other passion that I have is kids. And we got to make sure that we respect them and then they respect us, because that is one of the big problems, that the kids aren't being heard.
There you go. Listen, I want to thank you for coming in studio. I know you didn't feel well. We talked last night, but you made it because you're a champion, my friend. Success is stumbling from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. Give me my music, Kurt. I need some energy. To Usley Klessler. I got it right. Usley Klessler.
Ushi.
Thank you, Ushi. I can never get anybody's name right on this show. I want to thank you for sitting in studio with me. Thanks for joining me this morning. Philly, on your busy Sunday, grateful to you for spending some time with us. You have been listening to The Barry Sable Show with Friends. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Stay tuned for the legend. Have a great week, a healthy week, a safe week, and we will see you next weekend. Thanks for always being there. I appreciate you.